I literally just saw a man who appeared to be about my age, so he's got to be late 40s, early 50s. And he was running from a woman whom I assume he had some sort of intimate relations with. And he's running in the middle of the street, and he gets about a block, maybe half a block away from her, and he turns to her as she's yelling toward him. He turns to her and gives her the middle finger, and he continues to run uphill up the street away from her, and she's yelling at him, calling him puta, and telling him, you better run, you no good, this, that, and the other. And he's got this smirk on his face as he continues running, and he turns yet again to her and gives her another middle finger and continues up the hill. And I'm looking at this, and I'm saying to myself, this is amazing how it seems that relationships these days are all about who can damage whom first and who can damage whom greater than the other. So you've got men trying to damage women. You've got women trying to damage men. And this is deliberate. This is deliberate. And this is on the heels of yesterday. The big internet news was Jeezy, whom I don't know a whole lot about, divorcing Jenny May, however you pronounce her name. I remember her face because I remember she was on one of those talk shows at one point or something. Good looking sister, but, them being divorced and people discussing, what the root cause of that was or is, and supposedly Jeezy initiated the divorce, and then there are all these stories about all the other women that he's dealt with and all this stuff, and everybody's discussing this key term, this one term that so many people use these days. They're discussing the trauma of all the women that Jeezy has babies by that he's left, and then they're discussing the trauma of Jenny Mai and her past relationships. And I'm literally looking at the possible trauma of this man toward this woman as he's running up the hill and giving her the middle finger, and she's yelling at him about the stuff that she wants back. You all, I'm going through all of this description because of this one thing. It really appears that the enemy, and this is the message, it really appears that the enemy has worked a number on many of our hearts and our minds. The program is real. And what's really happening as I'm seeing it, and I thank the Most High for giving this to me, is that he's really showing the distinction between his people versus those who are not his people. Because see, the Most High's people are not on this whole program of trying to create trauma. In fact, we're the ones trying to alleviate the trauma, trying to help soften or maybe even eradicate the past traumas of people through love, through that patience, that kindness, just the fruits of the Spirit, you all. We're the ones out here trying to do that. And at the same time, we're the ones who are trying to make sure that we're protected from that trauma by staying in the Ruach HaKodesh, staying in the frequency of the Most High, so that we are then directed safely through, beyond, around, over all of the traumas that are out here. And again, so that we're not causing any of these traumas. You all, it's deep out here. So again, the Most High is helping us to see the truth about who we are. And with that, he's also helping us to see who the others are. Now, this came to me also. Yeah, the Most High is making it easy for us to see who's who. We're able to see the distinction, the wheat from the tares. But it's also helping us to see perhaps the difficulty in remaining trauma-free, in remaining in the Most High as compared to becoming part of what seems to be the larger group of those who are embracing the trauma, those who are playing the games of the trauma, the victims, being victimized and or being the victimizer. I was talking to a young lady at work a few days ago, and she talked about the complexity of her life. And that's something else that I constantly hear people say, it's complex. And the truth is, a lot of things that people have really put themselves through and that they've gone through in lives, it's not a complex situation. It just requires work to unpack all that foolishness. It requires work to admit your faults in some of that. Yeah, others might have caused you some stuff. They might have initiated some of that pain. Some of that might have been forced upon you. But the truth is, in some of it, you were an active participant. You gave into it. You said yes. You agreed. You weren't even forced into it. And so the complexity is that, yeah, in order to get free, in order to get beyond the trauma, you've got to unpack it. And so it becomes, quote unquote, complex when people don't want to unpack it. Complexity has become a nice way of saying, I don't want to deal with it. I'm not going to deal with it. And what ends up happening is that these same ones end up going out there causing more trauma to themselves, deliberately going out there trying to traumatize other people. In other words, they look like what I just witnessed just about 5 minutes ago. They look like the dude running away from the woman, giving her the middle finger as she's chasing after him, calling him puta and all of this other stuff, and saying, I just want my SHIT back. And they're yelling at each other up and down the street, seeing which one can hurt the other the most. Through infidelity, through drug usage, through emotional abuse, through physical abuse, through spiritual abuse, through financial abuse, whatever the deal is, through rape, through molestation, whatever the deal is. You all, it's deep out here. So I'm giving you this so that you see what's really in front of us, and so that you are mindful to stay in the will of the Most High. Stay strong in Him. Alleviate, eradicate the trauma by staying in the will of the Most High. In the name of YAHUSHA HaMashiach, I pray that for all of the Most High's people, and stay strong as we see that it seems to be few of us out here who are trying to do what's right in the Most High, to stay clean, to stay strong in Him, as opposed to those who are just giving up and becoming these large numbers of traumatized individuals. In Yahusha's name, amen.